Please give this video a like and subscribe! I just wanted to play video games.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian. I am here with John, the problematic white guy, and this is the Week in Culture, where we talk about the cultural news of the week and how it is. Well, you know, I got to figure out a new way to like add a little bit of a stinger to that. But basically, we're gonna dive deeper into the topics of the week. Whereas, and I'm not saying this to shame anybody. I think everyone has something to contribute to the broader conversation, but I try to bring something a little bit different, give you guys a little bit of historical reference, political, cultural, even spiritual references to like sort of help you align, you know, what's happening in the world so that you're a little bit less confused and hopefully better prepared for everything that's going on. You have a better, clearer understanding. All right. So anyway, John, how are you doing?
Oh, awesome as always. Just waking up, basically. And even made me coffee. You know,
Yeah.
I've actually got to refill.
Are you working on that right now?
No. Actually, I have to refill my water container. I'll do all that after the show. Just, you know, I'll make it through.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you're doing well. I get it. Like I guess I'm a bit of a morning person nowadays. I have to be. But normally I'm like I used to be a night owl. I'd be up really late. But I haven't been able to do that lately. Although it's a shame because I guess like I want to go on JT's channel sometime.
Yeah.
But the
His
time
hours,
differences are just like he's like on
West Coast.
Yeah, is he like Mountain or Pacific?
No, he's in Pacific. Yeah, he's formerly in San Diego.
So if I can do my shows later, like if I can do a later show, I can go on with him sometime. But unfortunately, my other job, HBR, I'm always doing shows later. So I'd rather not because I want to try and maximize time with the wife. And she works during the day. She specifically moved her schedule to work mornings so that we can spend time after. So, but anyway, I don't know. We'll see. Time zones suck. But speaking of guests, though, I have been talking to Andy Pants Gaming, and I want to have him on. And he asked me like what we would talk about. I haven't answered the question yet because I haven't decided. But I think it would just be like a good conversation anyway. So if you guys have any suggestions on something you'd like me to talk to Andy Pants Gaming about, let me know. I know that he's been like he kind of blew up pretty quickly with like sort of off the cuff videos about what's going on with games and doing a lot of nostalgia stuff where he talks about, the stuff used to be good, but now it's trash. And he was comparing things. And he seems to know his stuff when it comes to, like games from the 2000s. But the one thing that I noticed is really different is that I was a PlayStation person back then and he was an Xbox person back then. So there seems to be like, some, let's say, areas where we might not quite like, have like the same history with gaming because I was a PlayStation person. I played a lot of Japanese games. He was like big into military shooters and like Halo and stuff like that. Gears of War, GTA. I was not so much into those. So anyway, I don't know, just something to think about. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. Let me give a shout out to the chat in a second. But first, I want to tell you guys we got a lot going on today. A lot of different topics to cover, and they're going to be a little bit deeper. There's almost going to be a meta discussion about Gamergate, even from its beginnings and where we are now, because I've noticed that there's been, I don't want to say ground conceded, but there's been an acknowledgement that the CHUDs, they have a point, and we are winning and gaining ground, let's say. But it doesn't mean the war is over, and that's why I put the title there. I don't want people to think that I'm saying we rest on our laurels now, everything is done. I'm saying that what we are doing is valid, and we should keep doing it. That's what I'm saying, okay? But anyway, it's validating. Let me give a shout out to you guys in the chat. So, hello, Norwegian Black Templar. Hello, Robert Johnson. Hello, Botch TV says nice hat. Thank you. I have another. I got this when I got diagnosed with cancer in 2017. I've always loved Captain America, so I actually have like a big shield. It's you can't see it here, but I have a Captain America shield. Mr. 303, what's up? Norwegian Black Templar already said hello to you, and Cat3 Lynn says hi. And those of you guys who might be watching on Twitch or Kick, I don't see anybody there now, but in case somebody joins, what's up to you guys? All right. So with all that said, we got to get into the topics. So let's get started. First, we have some bad news, sad news, as it were. Yoshihisa Kishimoto, pictured here. He is the legendary Japanese game developer and creator of Double Dragon and the Kunio-kun series, which is known in the West as River City Ransom or the River City franchise, passed away on April 2nd at the age of 64. His son, Ryubo, broke the news on social media, sharing a heartfelt message asking fans to keep enjoying his father's games with a smile. He is basically the grandfather of the beat-em-up genre. He also was the grandfather of wrestling games. I don't know if you guys know, but like he was the guy behind the early wrestling games like Mat Mania. Anybody remember Mat Mania? And even the WWE or WWF like arcade games had the same kind of like control scheme and like look. It had the same aesthetic to it. So he's basically considered the grandfather of beat 'em ups. He shaped arcade gaming in the 80s with his hits Renegade, also called Kunio-kun, Double Dragon, and other titles. His work defined side-scrolling fighting games and left a huge mark on retro gaming culture. A private funeral was held shortly after, and tributes have poured in from fans and the industry alike. So anyway, I said Puyo. What's Puyo? I don't know what you're talking about. John, do you have any thoughts on this? Have you ever played these games? These are like older.
Oh yeah, no, I mean definitely. I was born in the '80s, so you know, Double Dragon was huge. One of the I remember playing that over at my friend's house back in like 85, 86.
Well, on the NES, version.
Yeah. Our neighbors were the kids who had the Nintendo, so a lot of my first Nintendo gaming memories were over there at their house. We had an Atari, but yeah, Double Dragon. That was my jam for like the longest.
I remember that. So I did get Double Dragon for the NES, but I played the arcade version, which was like, you know, considered like worlds like superior. Like it was like a huge deal. I remember I got so good at Double Dragon that I could play on 1/4 and beat the game. I would just go to beat the game. I would just go to the local. It was like this fast food chain called Donald Ducks, and then they changed the name to Donald Dukes because of copyright issues.
That's right. Yeah.
But they had a Double Dragon machine in there, and it was great. And again, they made some wrestling games. Mat Mania was another favorite of mine, which was pretty difficult. So yeah, there was this guy. I think that I brought this up because I think if it weren't for him, there wouldn't be beat 'em ups. Like if you didn't, let's say you didn't care for Double Dragon, like as a franchise,
right?
You know, it's had its ups and downs, right? Like in the arcades and at home. I don't know if they've ever really nailed it the way they did originally. But it's had its ups and downs.
And
Same thing with River City, the River City Ransom series. But like, if it weren't for this guy, there wouldn't be Final Fight. There wouldn't be Streets of Rage. There might not have even been like fighting games, period. Because I think that the beat 'em ups sort of preceded them. Now there were games like Kung Fu Master, which came out. I think it came out before Double Dragon, but that one was. I guess it could have gone that way, but I don't think that one was nearly as deep as Double Dragon. Double Dragon has special attacks and everything. So when you think about that, like there would be no Streets of Rage. There'd be no, like a lot of the games that are coming out now that are sort of like inspired by that, like Scott Pilgrim, versus the World. Those all basically were birthed from games like Double Dragon and Renegade or Kunio-kun. So I don't know, just like a big deal. So all right, let me see what do you guys think? Did you guys know about this? And do you have any particular, like, are you more of a Double Dragon person or more of a Kunio-kun person? Did you like River City Girls? That one is based in the same universe as Kunio-kun. I think the Double Dragon characters also live in the same universe. So yeah, it's just a really, rich sort of lore or mythology that he made, and I think it's pretty cool. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. That was just a little quick story. Rest in peace, Ishimoto-san, and
for the memories.
And thank you for shaping like my gaming childhood, basically. So all right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Norwegian Black Templar says Gamergate Stronk. Misro 303 says everybody fights, nobody quits. Yes. Dark Kikimura says, did you say Puyo? I don't think I did. Topher says, God loves you. Christ is king. Christ is risen. That'll be tonight. Tonight is Pascha. So, Bimmy was my favorite character. Who's Bimmy? I'm not sure.
Bimmy and Jimmy.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, it was Billy. Billy and Jimmy.
Yeah, I know, but he's making reference to the glitch that was in there.
There was a okay. I don't remember them in the arcade version. I don't remember them having names, but on the arcade cabinet, you could see they were like, there was like both of them like this, right? And they had a tattoo on their arm. The arcade versions of these guys was way more hard because one of them it said Hammer and the other one said Spike. And I thought those were their names. I was like, oh, it's Spike and Hammer. I'm going to play Spike. Those are cooler than Billy and Jimmy, don't you think? I mean, I'm sorry. That's the way I remember them. I remember them from the arcade version where their names were Spike and Hammer.
Yeah, on Nintendo, there was
they kind of like, I think that they softened it a lot.
It was, there was a glitch in the first 10 minutes of the game. The welcome intro basically it referred to them as Bimmy and Jimmy.
Jammy.
Bimmy and Jimmy. Yeah.
All right.
Old school reference.
So Brian plays just to mog strangers. Yeah, some people, like, I was just a kid. I was, maybe like 12. But people would come and watch. I'd be like, you want to see me flip the game? They were like, sure. And I would just go through it. And I had a friend that we would play together, and then you got to fight each other at the end. I don't remember. I think we just killed ourselves after a while. Like we just like fall off the pit and end the game there. Gabriel says Julio Hoon is his Hispanic counterpart of Kunio-kun. Then he says Kung Fu Master Spartan X was the first side-scrolling beat 'em up. Kunio-kun was the first belt-scrolling brawler. Yeah, that one was hard too. Because it had the buttons were directional. So you had an attack right and attack left instead of Double Dragon, which had punch and kick and jump. That one had attack right, attack left, and jump, I believe. And but it was also like not like stages. It was more like arenas. So you get like an arena, and the first level was like in the subway, and then like the Kunio-kun's rival be the first boss. And the second level there were motorcycles. And I don't remember what the boss of that was. And there was one where there was a big woman who was like a bobo, but it was like a female one. She was like the third boss, maybe. I can't remember. And it was all women with whips and chains. You couldn't make that game today.
Yep.
Master Goa says, I love Double Dragon, but also River City Girls. Yeah, I played a lot of River City Girls with the wife. Ninja Warriors, again, or once again, is the evolution of Kung Fu Master. Ninja Warriors was fun. That was the one with the cyborg ninjas, right? Dark Kikimora says, I have never played the River City Ransom or Double Dragon, but I might have to crack them open. I love the SMS, and I know claiming the SMS DD is better than the NES 1 player is a classic troll. Bimmy and Jammy. Dark Kikimora says, I have played Streets of Rage 2 on Genesis, though. I had the Streets of Rage games for sure. I always try to pick one good console port of an arcade game. Yeah, I mean, Streets of Rage was never in arcades, but it was a really good home version of something like Final Fight, which was also, you couldn't really get it. I remember they put Final Fight on the SNES, and it was originally just single player, which kind of like ruined it because everybody wanted to play 2 players Final Fight. And then like they made a Final Fight 2, and that one actually had 2 players, but I guess they pushed the Super NES tech to its limits to give us Final Fight 2 and maybe Final Fight 3. And that was Final Fight 2 is the first game that Maki appears in, by the way. Gabriel says, River City Underground, the sequel to River City Ransom, got delisted at the beginning of this year due to the license expiring. It was funded on Kickstarter by fans and permitted by Arc System Works. I think I have that one, actually. It's on Steam. I hated the controls for Double Dragon 2. Oh, Double Dragon 2. Yeah, that was another, the arcade version of that also had the left-right attack. That's why. I prefer punch and kick. I don't know why they did it that way. But anyway, I was going to say one more thing about these games before I moved on. But I can't remember it now. But yeah, like they were basically the grandfather of the beat 'em up. And they even made like a Guilty Gear. You mentioned Arc System Works. Guilty Gear had a beat 'em up as well. It was on the PSP, I think. But yeah, anyway. So, I remember now. There was a game. Anybody remember the name of this? Okay, there was a beat 'em up. Speaking of beat 'em ups, that was on the Super NES. That was 2 players. That came up before Final Fight 2, and I think that it's actually being like, I don't want to say remade, but they're like adding to that franchise. I can't remember the name of it. I think it might have been called, Beatdown Street or something like that. But there was a guy in like a red cop uniform named Uzi Nelson that you could play as, and then there was like this tall, skinny dude that looked kind of like a skinnier Cody named Jack Flack. Do you guys remember this game? I swear to God, those were their names. And you can do infinite throws. Like you can grab a guy and body slam him over and over. Infinite. And it was hilarious. We used to play the shit out of it for fun. But I know one of you guys knows the game I'm talking about. I just can't remember what it was called. But I do remember that game. It was quite funny. Anyway, so we're gonna move on to the next story, but let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. So I got a breaking story, kind of. I'm not gonna watch the video, but I'm gonna share the link. I did watch this video. So this is from Ace 1918, and he's reacting to an article where it's like a Norwegian or Swedish website. So this is translated from that moon language. And it's entitled Epstein, Culture War, and the Eternal Gamergate. Yes, this is real. I just want to, this is the way that journalists are coping right now. Okay. Yeah, it's Norwegian. Okay. To my great shame. So let me summarize what the article is claiming. And I'm just saying this is essentially another smear campaign by journalists against Gamergate. They're attacking specific people, but they're trying to use this to tarnish everybody. So this was a document that Jeffrey Epstein's connections to the culture war and Gamergate are detailed in recently released documents showing that he had interactions with figures like Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel, and 4chan founder Christopher Moot Poole. Emails from 2011 through 2017 reveal Epstein's interest in online manipulation, politics, and gaming culture, including attempts to meet Poole around the time Poll was relaunched as a containment board that later became a hub for right-wing content. Epstein maintained ties to gaming platforms and figures with a banned Xbox Live account, supposedly, a World of Warcraft profile, and communications with former Activision CEO Bobby Kotick about gamifying education and microtransactions. This part I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He also exchanged messages with Bannon about using cryptocurrency to fund a populist nationalist coalition, supposedly, to counter movements like #MeToo, while sharing 4chan links involving Five Nights at Freddy's porn with his girlfriend in 2017. Not surprised by that. So basically what the article is trying to do is trying to connect threads between people who are part of the really just grassroots movement of gamers that they wanted either integrity from journalists, which I think is naive and silly, but that was the majority of people what they wanted, or they wanted to get leftist gay race communism out of their gaming, which is what I wanted back then and still want today. And they're saying, oh, well, because Steve Bannon was in some ways linked to people that were involved with Gamergate, like he had talked with Jeffrey Epstein. They did like an 1.5 hour long interview that was put out on the internet like a while back. Then that means that there's a link between Epstein and Gamergate. And of course, that's spurious at best. Even with in the case of Steve Bannon, like I think that one of the things that this Epstein thing has done is it has driven people mad in terms of like if he was at the same party as somebody, if he met with somebody, if he called somebody, if he mentioned somebody by name in an email, then that means that those people are implicated. And I think that it's very, very dangerous to go down that road. Just because Epstein like met you or talked to you or even like talked to somebody who talked to you doesn't mean anything, but they're trying to make these connections because ultimately they're trying to attack I guess you could say the movement, like what we are trying to do. There obviously Sargon or Carl Benjamin and Arch was another person that they're trying to link to, Arch Warhammer. They're not in the files. Like but that doesn't stop the Norwegian journalists from trying to link them. Right. So let me see what you guys are saying. John, do you have any thoughts on this? Did you know about this? This just like came out. This is from
I can't say that I heard about this aspect of it, but I mean I definitely have read and seen stuff people going into the relationships that he had with Bobby Kotick, the push towards making loot boxes and things like that. So I guess there's aspects of it that I've heard about, but this specific article, no, this is new to me. Yeah, I don't know. The Jeffrey's pedophile and adventure saga here coming to light has definitely made things kind of interesting. I don't know, like if nothing else, it has at least kind of made it easier for me to kind of approach people under the idea of like, don't really try to put me into any kind of political group, because I only believe there is one political group at this point in time, and that is corruption. And it takes shape and manifests in various ways through either party itself, but they both just represent corruption for the most part at this point in time. So I don't trust. I don't trust.
Opposing corruption be the other group then?
Well, what I'm saying is there's only one group, and the way that they kind of present themselves is tuned to keeping everybody just in that system that supports the corruption. Is kind of my thoughts on it at this point in time. So it's like there are more than enough corrupt people on either end of the political spectrum that I'm more than ever just kind of like, I'm just a guy named John. I'm an American. and I just want to like, be able to have some semblance of individual liberties and, an actual life that I can pursue in my own local interests and kind of like some of that larger political stuff is just kind of static. That I it's there, and I just try to focus on what's actually going on in my own situation, because a lot of that stuff just kind of seems like it's just, it's shit, and that, but there's not much that's really seemingly being done about it one way or the other. But at least if we as individuals can actually start to understand that no matter what it is that you believe at this point in time, there's a good, like all of us we were born into a world of lies, effectively. This is the the earth is the principality of darkness, is, I guess, in some ways the easiest way to say it is that this is a very satanic world. There's a lot of people that are caught up in very satanic kind of systems, whether they're conscious to that or not, or they're just kind of going along with things that have been infiltrated and corrupted over time. Living in 2026, like, it is quite the adventure of encountering people that they are so convinced, like there seems to be a lot of people these days that are coming from a point of certainty, but not necessarily accuracy, based on various pre-existing bias factors that are in some ways just kind of being used as the way to keep us all focused on each other, rather than the crazy bullshit that we've learned about here in recent years, that's become, I guess, something that we can at least talk about without immediately being oh, that guy's just a crazy conspiracy theorist, So I don't know. It's interesting times, to say the least. I think that hopefully we'll learn more about all this as time moves forward, and maybe it would be really great if we could actually see some aspects of accountable justice actually come to light. But I think that we're kind of just being put through the humiliation ritual, by another degree of, not only will you not do anything about it, but you're going to forget about it as something that's even worth being concerned about. It's kind of like a demoralization play, that the way that it's being handled. But I don't know. I've certainly, my viewpoint on this administration, while I still think it was in some ways better than the alternative, we still ended up with a lot of the same kind of bullshit that's at play, just as part of the aspects of, I guess, the deep state or the super government or whatever you would call it. But these people that act as though they're beyond accountability, and they can do just about anything. And the only way that you can be a part of that, like, we don't live in a world with actual legitimate leadership. We just live in a world that has people, parasites that occupy positions of power. And they seem to be the people that gravitate towards that, regardless what their political labeling is, which is, unfortunate. But that seems to be kind of like who power kind of enchants. And unfortunately, it seems like, to be a part of that these days, you have to be in on the corruption, because they're not going to let you in. Because like, if you're not as corrupt as me, there's every chance that you could, blackmail me. So instead, just to make sure that they're all on the same terms, they all have to be able to be blackmailed. So they're all in on this weird, crazy shit, and they just have to decide whether they're more concerned about a life of mortal comfort, or if you're more concerned about, like, a reward of actually being able to have an eternal soul. But I don't know, like, what you could decipher from all that. But needless to say, like, I find that we're living in some very strange times, where you have to really kind of not be rushed to just try to make it comfortable, and try to find a way to frame it.
Well, okay, I gotta get in here really quick.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying, but this isn't about the current administration at all.
Right. No.
I'm just saying you're talking about something that isn't. I don't think it's at all related to. I mean, I get that you have your thoughts on that, and that's fine. But like, what we're talking about is a journalist lying about people involved with Gamergate because there's no evidence of it. So that means you're just pulling shit out of your ass. I'm not talking about you, John. I'm talking about the person who wrote the article in order to discredit Gamergate. So like the stuff with what I said already about Steve Bannon, I think it's important that people understand this, that just because there could be an association drawn to someone who is accused of some wrongdoing does not implicate the people connected to that person. It's a crucial thing that we can't allow, because that is how you destroy people by that. That's what the Me Too movement was. It was a vehicle used to destroy the lives of men, and it was men that it destroyed, so that women could take their jobs, or that other people could, or whatever it was. It was to destroy their name, their reputation, maybe even throw them in jail on nothing more than an accusation. And this guy is trying to do that, this journalist, this Norwegian guy, to not just Carl and Arch, but to everyone involved with that, right? And so my point is that, like, even if you say, just as an aside, even if you say, well, look, here's what, what I believe, that you are taking a side. There is a side. There is the side of right. There is the side of good. There's a side against lies and corruption. So that is a side, and it's okay to say that that's the side you're on, because that's the side I'm on. So it is the same. There are sides. There is no avoiding that. You're just on the good side, and that doesn't look like. Yes, it doesn't look like a political party. It doesn't look like a wing. It's just taking a side on the side of what is right. At least trying your best to find that based on what is true.
I know.
You can confirm, right? What you can. What you
and
can. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's why I was saying these are perspectives of certainty rather than accuracy.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I'm just kind of saying that, it's like, I don't really, at this point in time, the corruption is so vast, the manipulations are done for various things. That's where I'm just kind of saying that, it is a little bit more pronounced in certain instances where you can kind of say, it does kind of get what you're talking about, the political manipulation of just trying to say, oh, because this person was connected to that. No. That's but unfortunately that does happen. But and so that's where I'm just kind of like, where I just say that I see that kind of happening in a broad sense, kind of like a cherry picking kind of like, how do I go and use this to work with my pre-existing biases, because that's kind of the idea of like, well, if I go and I say that you're connected or to Epstein, well, then now you're immediately like a pedophile, and that I think that's too much of a knee-jerk reaction. I think all these things need to be held with, looked at with some level of discernibility and care, because I guess the only thing that I'm really saying, though, is we've come to realize just how lied to in the grand sense that we've all been, Sure. And I mean, I've known that for a while, but even then, like, I think there are other certainties that we're expected to take on right now, which also are not that obvious. So I think that we should be careful about, because there seems to be like a new bandwagon like every week that we all got to get on. And it flip-flops a lot. So I'm the type that waits. I know people who I trust, who I've spoken to about stuff happening in the world. And look, this show isn't about what's going on in the world right now, but all I'll say is I've spoken to people who I think are, I would find more qualifying to discuss these things than a lot of the voices. And I'm basically a wait and see kind of guy. So, but look, that's not what this is about. My point is, at the end of the day, this article just came out, and they're trying to destroy Gamergate. Now, the reason why I think they're doing this is they are losing in terms of like the narrative part of the culture war. That doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean they don't have power anymore or anything like that. I'm not saying that, so don't jump down my throat.
I'm not saying that we should chill out. I'm saying that what we're doing matters and it is having an effect. So let me give you another example. Let me see what you guys are saying. Then we're going to move on to the next section, but this is part of a broader trend that I'm seeing. So, okay. Let me see. Alexandra Speaks. What's up? Welcome to the show. Says Flat Earth gamers, let's go. I'm not sure I'm a flat earther. I wouldn't go that far. Norwegian Black Templar says nerds play games, Epstein play games, therefore is pretty much the argument here. Yeah. Well, but again, he spoke to Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon worked with Breitbart and Milo Yiannopoulos. Milo Yiannopoulos was a big voice in Gamergate. That's what I'm saying. He's like the It's Always Sunny in meme with the guys like on the wall with all the red strings. That's what they're trying. But the purpose of it isn't that they actually believe any of the shit they're saying. The purpose of it is to demoralize the audience into thinking that there is no such thing as truth. That's why I'm very much against the nihilistic doomer approach, because that's what they want. This is like step one of Yuri Bezmenov's like ideological subversion tactics. What he talked about is to demoralize you, and one of the ways you do that is to basically get it to where people don't believe that truth is real and that everything is lies. That's how you are demoralized. That's why you have to hold on to something true. Mr. 303 says Bannon was Milo's boss. That's about the whole connection. Yes. Norwegian says Epstein turbocharged people's TDS. Yeah, and but the reason for that though too is that one of the things that journalists do is anybody can do this, is they weaponize the potential victimhood of women, and that gets people to stop thinking logically. Even though, and I think that the majority of women that we know of that were involved with in these Epstein affairs were of adult age when it started. Like some of the underage stuff, I'm sure that was out there. I'm not saying it's not real, but there isn't like anything really substantial on that front yet. Most of the women who have come forward were adults when this started. So it wasn't like they weren't benefiting, like they were getting something out of it. But anyway, so I think that we have to be very careful when we think about female victims of something. Potentially, it turns people's brains off. Like they hear, oh, Bill Cosby did drugs with women, therefore he roofied them. No, it means that he said, hey, I have drugs, and grown-ass women said, I will go to your truck and do drugs with you, and they did, and then they had sex. It's like two people, a man and a woman, go to a bar, they both get drunk, they have sex, and how do we see it? Well, we're supposed to think she was raped by him. That's what I'm saying. It's like we have to be able to look at these things as dispassionately as possible, because what really matters is what is actually right or wrong, what is actually illegal versus legal, what is actually just versus unjust. That's how you best look at these things. That's the best way to discern, from the emotional manipulation that's always going on. Anyway, Gabriel says Rival Turf. Yes, that's what it was. Rival Turf was the game. Thank you. Mr. 0303 says Zoe Post equals Epstein files. Yeah, exactly. Not at all connected. Stanley, Will, what's up? Hey, Brian, what's up? Welcome to the show. This is not a gaming stream. This is a discussion. Let me see. Dark Kikimura says, also, I can't help but notice we have Gamergaters not having a problem with River City girls, like Gamergaters don't have a problem with female and minority characters in games if it's not forced. Shocker. Well, yeah, but again, they want you to think that, like, just having a woman or a brown person in a video game is woke. I mean, a lot of times it is, because there's this, I don't know, like, it comes from this place of like, oh, we're doing these people a favor, but in many cases it's just not. It's just organic. Norwegian says this is the time to entrench, not celebrate. Yes. Mr. 0303 says journals will still being butthurt about GG is proof that it matters. Yeah, that's true. All right. So thank you for the commentary. Now, I want to show something else. This was actually really fascinating. So I saw this a while ago. You guys are anime fans, right? Of course you are, you weebs. So I'm not going to play the video, but I want to show it to you. So this channel called Christian Hyens made their very first video, and it's about an anime called Frieren. Frieren, okay? John, have you heard of Frieren?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
Not not like a full episode, but I'm aware of its existence.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but the people in my Discord swear by it as like a really good show. So, but this guy made a video called Free Aaron and the Politics of Deception, where he explains that essentially he's using the plot of the show to explain the left's behavior in our politics, right? Which is essentially, it's the same as the way that atheists invoke, you know, like scripture in order to manipulate Christians, because they don't actually care about these things. They just know that we do care about these things. So in this video, which is, again, I would say you should watch it, and I will. I think there's a link to it in our Discord already. In this video, he explains that in the setting of this show, there are demons, but the demons look like humans, except they have horns. They have little horns, and they're very good at, you know, essentially exploiting humanity to get their way. So they pretend to, you know, agree with you and be like you, and they use words to manipulate people so that they can get close enough to them and eat them, because that's what they do, is they eat humans. And he was basically saying that, you know, this is like how leftists use the Constitution. So they believe in the Constitution when it benefits them, but they think it's an outdated living document when it does not. And it's all about how do they, you know, manipulate that. And what the reason why, so like this is a guy's just made his channel. He's got only about 8,000 subscribers, and but the video has gotten 62,000 views. Or almost 62,000, and it's growing. And the reason why I think this is interesting is because this guy is using a cultural piece of entertainment media, which is this anime, to make a point about reality. And he makes the argument that it's an inherently right-wing show because of like the way that it, you know, because of the story it tells. Now, again, I haven't seen it. So, you know, I hear it's good from people, and not just because of its politics, just because it's a good show, just because it's well done, well animated, and all of that. And there's memes of the character everywhere. But what I thought was really fascinating was there was this political commentator guy named Nick Freitas, who's very big channel, like 2 million subs or something, like huge commentary channel. And he made a video where he watched this and he commented on it. And he asked people to share it around. And Nick Freitas is like you know, he's like an old like military vet guy. I think he was a former politician or something. I'm not subscribed to him, but I saw that he shared it everywhere in his socials, and he recognized the cultural importance. So my point in sharing this has nothing to do with whether or not you agree with the politics of the person who made the video, whether you agree with the politics of the show, whether you agree with Nick Freitas, who ended up sharing it around, but rather to show that this is what I mean when I say the culture has an effect on the world, like in the broader sense, you know, that, I mean, Andrew Breitbart used to say politics is downstream from culture. So like, this is just sort of like evidence of that, I guess you could say. But I do think that it's about like, when you have like a really effective way, and look, Japan is not involved with American politics that much. I mean, they love America. Like, I don't think that's obvious. I don't know if you guys saw the sort of like the love-in that the Japan was having on X with the US and you know, the US with Japan in kind. But I think that it's because fundamentally the values that are, this is what it comes down to. It's the values, right? So the values that are being shared in this video about this anime are being shared in turn by people who are, you know, would otherwise never talk about this stuff. And I think that that's, again, it's showing that this is where the strength is at. This is like the hidden power of the culture, which, by the way, the wokies recognize, which is why they're always trying to take control of it or destroy it. So I would just say I highly recommend you guys check out this video if you can, and maybe look at Nick Freitas's response to it, although that's a bit longer. So let me look at some of your comments. I don't know. I mean, John, I would just say that if you haven't, I've never watched the anime, but I might check it out. I just haven't had time. to watch anything lately. So
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Oh yeah. Just drinking some water.
Okay. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me see here. Is this okay? So nothing in the YouTubes yet. So Miss Row 303 says that video was great. Free Airing is a great show. Norwegian says, I think I've seen this video. Miss Row 303 says Free Airing addresses the demon question rather well. Using culture to prove a point is essential. It's modern myths. Yes. And unlike Byron and Claire, we base our observations on reality as well, not just popular media. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing too. That's a good point, Norwegian, you bring up. Sometimes you get media that tries to construct a reality like that isn't real, and that's why that they don't like land. Like, I guess I haven't watched it, but I guess like Star Trek. What have you been doing on other shows that's kind of like where you're like looking at, like, I don't know, woke media? Like, are you looking at?
Well, I mean, there was like the Leering Center, as people were calling it, Starfleet Academy,
Starfleet Leering Center. Yeah. Have you been talking like on other people's channels? I know you've been on other people's channels. Have you talked about any other, like, trash? Like, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, like Starfleet Academy.
Like the other streams that I'm a part of, we still do pop culture stuff, but it's more kind of casual. Like over on Will's, we only do one day of pop culture a week now. Really, we do review shows on Sundays, and then we do Wanker of the Week on Thursdays, which is talking about all the lol cows basically, and other people that have done stuff that's just incredibly, like, insane and heinous on Thursdays. And then on Toasties, we talk about stuff like that, like kind of off the cuff. It happens. So I think that if there's a place that I do that with frequency, it's probably on Will's on Tuesdays more often than not. But I think outside of Star Trek, the most recent things that we've been talking about has just been the success of Crimson Desert and the denial of all that and whatnot. I'm sure there's plenty of.
Yeah, let me put it this way. What Norwegian is talking about that he mentioned, and I was going to bring this up, and I'm glad he did, is that when the reason why I think woke shows don't work is because they often present a version of reality. Okay, obviously the shows are about fictional places, but a good one still has reality in its DNA. Like it's something believable. Like it's something that makes sense, right? Like in some way, it's logical in at least in terms of what it's trying to say. So like, Lord of the Rings is obviously not a real world that we can go to, but the way the characters behave and the way that things work out is believable. Like the characters feel human, even if they're hobbits. And so like that's why it works. Like and if we don't even have to do something like that's as fantastic as that. I could talk about, like, I don't know, what's a movie that you really like? Like, did you ever see Seven?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so Seven is a great movie, and one of the reasons why is because the characters in it are believable. Like it's a dark film, but it has like a very hopeful message at the end of it, because that's kind of what people want. But it's a really dark movie. Like if you've never seen Seven, I highly recommend it. Brad Pitt and
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman. But it's a good movie. So, but the reason why woke stuff doesn't work is because it's usually saying something that doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. So yeah, Starfleet Academy doesn't make sense for a number of reasons. Like, why are there like fat or disabled people in this like far future setting, like that are supposedly working for a navy? Like, why does that exist, right? Like it doesn't add up for those reasons. Or they'll have like cartoonish versions of people they don't like you mentioned Brittany Claire. She often references Mad Men, the show, And in Mad Men, it's always like, you know, guys slapping secretaries on the ass and stuff like that. That just didn't happen. Like it doesn't feel true, right? In terms of like, did people really act this way? You know, I joked about how there's this guy, he's making a Resident Evil movie. There's like coming out. And I joked about, because people are saying that this guy claims that he like knows the games, but the test screenings have shown that he has like nothing in it from the games, like none of the legacy characters appear in it or whatever. I don't know if that means it's not going to be good. He was the director who made Weapons, which I heard was a decent movie, but I've never seen it. And I jokingly said he's going to have like Albert Wesker like show up in the movie with, and he's going to slowly put on a red hat and sheathe his sword. I know he doesn't have a sword, but that's why I'm saying that. And say, I'm going to make Raccoon City great again. And then like jump on a helicopter, because that like this is what I mean. Like they're not connecting to not just like the truth of the world, but humanity itself. So, like, and then when they put that out there, it's sort of like making it's like saying something that is a lie about reality. And then other people like Brywin and Claire will come out and they will comment on that as though it is reality. And that's part of the demoralization process, because it's about like making it to where the truth is impossible to like grab, right? They're trying to make it impossible, and it demoralizes people because then they don't know what is real.
Right. So. Yeah, no, I saw someone who made a they did a reading basically or an analysis on the movie Memento, and and about how kind of it shows people's tendency to get caught up in certainty bias, you know. And so that's kind of why I mentioned earlier is like, you know, this idea that you have this pre-existing bias and you're just so certain about it that no matter what you see, it's going to find a way to relate back to what you had already kind of assumed from the get-go. And so
you start from your conclusion and you work backwards.
Work backwards from there. And so and unfortunately it does seem that there is a lot of that in the world today, where people are far more concerned about presenting their certainty than they are actually you know, looking for accuracy and trying to just present things for people to, you know, reflect on and discern from themselves. They have a more pointed kind of initiative of trying to wrangle people in using, you know, different kinds of euphemistic hooks to try to, like, you know, like, oh, well, you don't want to be one of the bad people now, do you? Like, yeah, it's the already muddied waters are getting even murkier, unfortunately, it seems. I guess is no, I mean, no, I think that's always going to be that way, but like the antidote to that is to just like be humble. You just be like, look, I don't have all the answers, I don't know. And that goes for like what you're being told, like to like this or to hate this or whatever. If you don't know, just say you don't know. And, you know, like, I think you have to stay humble and be willing to be okay with that. The reason why I think it's so easy for us to get caught up in lies, because everyone wants to be right. And they have like so much of their pride invested in what they want to believe. Yeah. And so you just got to let that part of you die. Right. And I talk about that all the time, about the difference between being led by inherent principles and values that are based on your own internal agency, rather than having like virtue and pride that are generally these external forces that kind of work their way into that thought process and can kind of hijack it from time to time. So yeah, unfortunately the pride and the virtue signaling is definitely it is a method, but I don't think that it's actually more valuable than legitimate principles and values in terms of ways to try to decipher the world. But it is.
They hated him because he told them the truth.
Exactly.
All right, so let's see what you guys are saying. I'm going to move on to the main story, which is the thumbnail story, which is related to everything that we've talked about already. So let's see. Robert Johnson says a sign of good mental health is seeing fiction as stranger than truth. Yes, but also potentially truer. Well,
I
can
tend to
say
believe there's
something-
more honesty in fiction than there is truth in the news myself at
Yeah.
this point in reality. So yeah.
All right, so we got this article I want to talk about, and this is from a website called Aftermath, and they talk. I guess I don't know if it's woke, but it probably is.
Oh
They
yeah,
have this
Luke,
interview
I did
here.
a little bit of research into all the various aspects of this. Luke Plunkett, obviously the guy who's having the interview. He is a former Kotaku employee, and that I was immediately like when I saw his name, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Let's take
obviously.
a look at it. Yeah. So yeah, it's very much woke. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Woke
No, I'm not surprised, but like, so these people are not done. They're not going away. So this is an article which is basically an interview entitled "The Mission is About Creating Supportive Environments and Authentic Content, What a DEI Manager at a AAA Video Game Company Actually Does." Some studios are good at their PR presence, but aren't necessarily backing that up with meaningful structural change within their studios.
Yeah.
So, and this person, this is by Luke Plunkett. He opened up with some of this stuff. I thought I would read a little bit of his intro, and then I'm going to pick out a couple of key quotes from the article because it's kind of like a long interview. It goes on for a while. Yeah. So I'm not going to read the whole thing.
And it never actually gets into the substantial aspects of what someone in this position does. It doesn't like actually get into the nuts and bolts of we do readings and
they never do. It's always we're having a conversation about having a conversation.
Right, exactly.
And that because that's the point. It's basically staying in an ever evolving, ever changing, let's say Hegelian cycle of argumentation that just it's not supposed to end. It's you're supposed to keep swimming in the miasma, in the muck of something that doesn't actually have an objective solution. You know, it's not about the nail. Manthan says, hello, Manthan F1. Hello, gents. What are we talking about? We are looking at this article from Aftermath. It's basically going to make the case for DEI. And if you don't like DEI, you're obviously a racist, sexist chud. So if you've ever been exposed to the worst corners of the internet, we're off to a good start. And especially the ones that spend their days failing to enjoy a single thing about video games. Lie. I just don't enjoy your video games. I have plenty of games, actually. I'm backlogged up to my eyeballs in good stuff.
I have a richness of games that I will probably never be able to fully play. So.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get it done before I die, so that I can put that on my gravestone, like finished his video game backlog. Anyway, you'll probably have seen the disdain some shitheads from angry YouTubers through to the current United States administration have for anyone working anywhere near DEI. DEI, or diversity, equity, inclusion, is a set of, and he's going to try and define it. So like, it's kind of like defining feminism. Like, don't you believe in feminism? It just means equality. So DEI is just this. It's this innocent thing, an organizational framework that seeks to promote the fair treatment and full participation of all people, particularly groups who have historically been underrepresented, marginalized, or subject to discrimination based on identity or disability. If you have a problem with that, you must be a bad person.
That's right. And we'll meet these measures by any means necessary.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm going to just go to some of the key points here. All right. Yeah. So this is the strongest arguments that this entire. So they do an interview. I want to find out who the AAA studio person is actually.
Her name is
Alana Cole.
Alana.
Which AAA company did she work for?
Oh God.
Because it says that for some reason they're not naming the company. It's almost like they don't want us to know which one it is, so we can boycott it.
Find it again because I did some side research on this yesterday while I was looking for image sources. Let's see if I can find. Let's see.
Yep. Well, you go ahead and look that up while I could find out really quick here. Hold on a second, because I kind of want to know which Alana Cole. I want to find out. So I'm going to do that right now.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah, right. I did look her up. Alanya Cole, this is a website. Let's see. Alanya Cole has worked in the games industry for over a decade. She teaches over a decade. That's interesting timing.
Mhm.
Right around me too, eh? I wonder how you got that job. Hi, I'm Alanya, she, her, and I spend most of my time making crafts, hanging out with my dog, and trying to make games industry a more inclusive place. God, I'm dying already.
Mhm.
So she's worked in the games industry for over a decade. She teaches at multiple institutions as a game production and design lecturer, while also working as the creative director of an independent studio, co-director of a consulting firm, a published author. She was previously the diversity, equity, and inclusion manager at Sledgehammer Games, where she ran diversity initiatives supporting authentic game content in the Call of Duty franchise. Call of Duty. I mean, look, I don't play that anymore. I think I played like up to World at War, which is like from a while ago. Then I stopped. So she worked at Call of Duty, guys. Activision, right?
Yep.
So yeah, not surprised, but there you go. That's who we're dealing with here. So
Yes.
she has experience as both a AAA and indie games producer, was the founding director of a not-for-profit, which means for-profit, and has worked as an educator, games journalist, and published author. Her work has had a particular focus on LGBTQ+, invisible disabilities, and neurodivergence. You got to update your acronym, lady. We're not doing LGBTQ anymore. Haven't you heard? We're doing LGBTQQ+ now. That's what we're doing. You gotta get with the times, lady. You look like a bigot. She has written several books, book chapters, and a journal, articles on a range of subjects, including short stories, textbooks, and a memoir. Alanya holds a doctorate in creative arts and has spoken at conferences and events globally, including a United Nations Summit on Gender-Based Violence in 2021 and a keynote talk at Games Connect Asia Pacific in 2022. As well as being a passionate champion for advocacy and change, Alanya loves good trees, has too many hobbies to count, and is a connoisseur of hot chips. Oh, I hate these bios where they put like little things in there. It's so cringe.
She's also the managing director of Queerly Represents Me, a not-for-profit research organization group. That examines representations for queerness in games. So that game consulting is probably about that, I would imagine. Yeah.
All right. So here's some of the things that they're so this article, let me go back to the article. The article is trying to essentially make the case that we should be we should be pushing harder on DEI stuff. Okay, like we haven't DEI'd hard enough. And what do they mean by that? Well, what they mean is that one of the quotes, and this is probably the main quote that I want to like look at from the article itself, is that first of all, they got to reframe DEI as a way to create innovative and authentic game content meaningfully impacted reframing DEI as a way to create innovative and authentic game content meaningfully impacted the way many of the developers we worked with thought about their disciplines. So what does that mean? They basically used DEI as an ideological weapon against developers to get them to change their content. How well has that worked out for Call of Duty, by the way? I mean, she doesn't work in that department anymore.
Right.
She's a former DEI person, you know.
Right.
And of course, they're angry because they think that the current administration was responsible for that. And you could say in a way, but not really, because the government can only do that within itself. It can't do that to like companies. So what probably happened was Activision saw the writing on the wall, and they were like, "Oh, this isn't actually selling. We're gonna get rid of it." And she got fired. Or they got somebody who sold a better, let's say, a better version of the same shit. You know, for all I know. I don't know. I don't buy Activision products, but yeah. What was that?
I say someone who's spending a better version of bullshit. Yes.
Yeah, a better version. Like they're basically promoting a better version of the DEI bullshit.
Right.
That's also possible. So she just wasn't DEIing hard enough, basically. The other, and then like one of the openers of this, it says video games, an industry traditionally dominated by white men, needs DEI so badly. So they're still doing this.
Yeah.
Okay? And obviously, one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and this is actually, I mean, this has always been the goal, so I'm not surprised by this. I made a video about it. It's like the five, I think it's called the 5 steps of woke entryism. So one of the quotes in the article reads as follows. It says, diversity, equity, and inclusion works best when it's holistically integrated into the structure of organizations. You guys know what that means?
Means that from the moment you speak to a hiring manager to the point in time to where you're actually working within it, everyone is ideologically captured, and like whether or not they ask you specific things, you know, are you going to fit into this environment? And so yeah, it's all about just, because it doesn't have to be a large grand conspiracy, as long as you just get people who already believe the same things that you do, then you can easily get through the day without having to encounter things like challenges, you know, like, so they've tried to make the whole thing about everybody here believes the exact same bullshit. So like, we're all like, it's reading from the same hymn book, basically, of, you know, no matter what, they all speak the same language. And so they're, you know, it's baked into the system, basically. So there's, if you uphold those virtues and you know, the pride that they have for the work that they're doing, then you're 100%, you know, good to go. But if you falter in any of that, well, then clearly you're a chud, and you need to be you know, ended.
So yes, so basically, holistically means they're not talking about optional training or a committee on the side. They're saying DEI has to be baked into everything. Hiring, promotion, story decisions, character design, marketing, performance reviews, and who gets the final say on creative choices. Yeah, reviews have to be DEI infused as well. No part of the company escapes it. In practice, what that means is job postings and interviews will explicitly favor certain identity checkboxes over skills or experience. Creative leads get vetoed or overridden if their ideas don't check enough diversity boxes. Success metrics shift from does the game resonate and sell to does it meet representation targets, or rather, does it have cultural impact? I want to go back to comic books for a second, because this was something that was starting there. Do you remember comic books, when comic books went to shit, okay, this was a way back when like the Muslim Ms. Marvel was introduced around that time. They tried to make that character happen multiple times and nobody bought it. And the creator and the character designer and the writer and the lead person behind that, Sana Amanat, who is, by the way, very good friends with the Obamas, just a coincidence. She said that the sales are not important. What matters is the cultural impact. She didn't care that whether there was profits or not. And you might say, well, how could Marvel, like, you know, put up with that? Well, they didn't have a choice, really, because they lost their really good editors when Stan Lee retired and some of the other guys that were involved. But also, and this is not just Marvel, this is like all of the comic book companies, it doesn't matter. They have all been consumed, they've all been captured. But what they're doing is they're saying, well, look, no one's going to buy our books, but it doesn't matter because we didn't make comic books to be sold. We made them so they can become publicly accessible. So they put them in libraries, and libraries are publicly funded, i.e. taxpayer funded. So they don't have to sell you the books. They can just put them in your libraries. They can put them in school libraries. They can have the kids read them for free. And why wouldn't they? You know, so like the point of it is to make it accessible, because they don't need to, they've gotten around the obstacle of having to make a product that you want. And they've just given it to you, to your kids for free, or the children. And that's what I think they're going to do that with video games too. So like we all have a problem with microtransactions and all that. And I get all that stuff. Okay. Season passes, etc. But what happens when video games become free, but they're educational tools? And they've already started doing that. What is pathways?
Right.
What is that? So like, this is the other part of it is that
Yeah.
the woke stuff can get into they can get into gaming at that level,
Right.
if they stop caring about sales, because they
Right.
don't care about sales.
Right. They're pulling they're pulling at the levers of social engineering, rather than, you know, actually trying to just do good business. Yeah.
So so I think that's what's going on. They can do this if enough of their own people are in the industry.
Yeah. Right. And as you were saying, you know, the holistic approach of every aspect of it, including reviews. Yeah, the whole idea of if you're going to say anything about this game, it has to be complementary to its aspects on DEI representation, rather than critical of it as you know, an actual substantial game work in terms of systems and flow states and stuff that actually legitimately matters when it comes to playing games, because to them, that's not the purpose of it. The game is just a delivery system for the message itself, you know, or the movie or what have you, for whatever form of media it may be. Is those aspects don't even matter. It's all about just message. Stay on message. Yep.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about Yuri Bezmenov's stages. These are the ways that you basically, like, you know, have a communist takeover, okay? And he warned us about this in the 80s, and I know some of you guys know about Yuri Bezmenov. I'm just gonna read through it really quick. I don't have the video handy, but I'm sure it's easy to find. So he laid out 4 stages: demoralization, which takes about 15 to 20 years, and this is to essentially infect education, media, and culture, so that people cannot determine what is the truth. Destabilization, which is hitting the economy, defense, and social fabric, which is, I think, currently also going on right now. We're getting to the early stages of that. Crisis, which is up to 6 weeks of chaos in order to flip power. And then normalization. The new order gets accepted as just how things are. So what they're pushing in this article with the holistically integrated DEI that touches every hiring decision, creative choice, and metric sits squarely in the demoralization phase. It's a long game brainwashing phase where you redefine what merit is, what quality is, and what truth itself is, so the next generation grows up thinking quotas and identity checkboxes are just normal business. The normalization they're aiming for is when everyone accepts that game stories and workplaces must prioritize representation over talent, and questioning it sounds crazy. So this is what their game is, and we have to recognize that. And so yeah, I mean, you can make fun of them, like, you know, they're just libtards, etc. But remember, they still have most of the power, even though they're still pretending to be victims, which I'm going to get into in a second. I have some more. But yeah, they still have all the power. So here's an example. This is from The Atlantic. It's called The Death of Millennial Feminism. Lindy West has unwittingly written the obituary for an era. So what does this mean? Nothing.
Right.
It's that this isn't going away at all. This is just them lamenting, like, the sort of intersectional feminism because the TERFs won, at least according to them, which I don't think that's over yet anyway. And the TERFs is not really, like, it's not any better at all. It just led to this to begin with. But they are trying to say, oh no, because the thing is, like, this is the interesting thing about woke people. They're the strongest when they're in the losing position, because that's when their victimhood appears to be the most true, even though they still hold, like I said, a lot of institutional power in, like, the government, in our schools, in our media, in our culture, right? Yeah. They hold the reins in all of those areas. Their ideas are mainstream. They're not fringe at all. Even the only thing that was probably a little bit too much of a hard push was the trans stuff. But even then, they'll just back off a little bit, and, you know, we'll just go back to, like, I don't know, 90s troons. Like, we'll just go back to that. We won't troon the kids, but Elliot Page will continue to get work, you know?
Right.
So yeah. So yeah, not just that. So I mean, I'm not going to go through this article because I think you have to have a membership anyway. Although I have the archive. But there was another one too, and this one really stings, but I got to share it. So when Gamergate was starting off, we had a few, like I guess you could say prominent figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned Sargon and Arch when I was talking about that article that involved, Epstein's links to that or whatever. And then Milo, who was very vocally pro Gamergate. He was like one of the big. And the thing is that the way that Gamergate 1 unfolded was a little annoying for me because a lot of the people who had the most clout in the space were treated as though they were the best authorities on Gamergate itself. And the problem is that they didn't get there on merit either. They got there because they knew people and they were able to like use their platforms. That's what. And I'm not saying that Milo was no good for Gamergate. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I don't think that he was necessarily the best representative. He didn't even play video games.
Right.
He just saw it as like a good place to like fight the left from, which I understood because I knew the left was the problem with Gamergate, but I didn't think that he was necessarily like a good Gamergate like ambassador, right?
Right. Yep.
I thought Carl was much better, but my problem with Carl was, and I like Carl, so I'm not saying this to attack him, but my problem with Carl was at the time that he was ultra focused on only getting the journalists to straighten their shit out. Right. He was like, "Oh no, we just deal with the ethics thing and everything will be fine." I was like, "No, Carl, that's not the problem." Like and that came out after in the aftermath of Gamergate because Gamergate did lead to the 2016 election. It did.
Right.
I think it was completely we're connected, and even people that I've spoken to that rejected that notion at first have come around and accepted that as a reality. We memed Trump into the White House, but that aside, the aftermath of Gamergate really divided us. Like if you guys don't know, the Critical Drinker got into some trouble because he had on the guy who wrote the screenplay for. What was it? That movie that everyone was talking about, Project Hail Mary. He wrote the screenplay, and then Critical Drinker had him on his show, and like people lost their minds over that because he said some things about, like he doesn't like putting politics in his movies.
Right. Well, I think there was one point in time where Drinker had helped him in one of the books they had written too. Like he wrote some passages in or something like that. And so.
Andy Weir, the guy who wrote Project Hail Mary, he said that he never puts any politics or messaging in his stories at all. No symbolism, no agenda, just entertainment. And he credits the movie's massive success to staying away from crappy identity politics. And I know that he ended up he said something about Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, and then he ended up going back and apologizing, which offense you should never do. But that aside, that it doesn't matter because him going on the Critical Drinker was enough to drive wokies insane anyway, including one person who was like a big part of Gamergate, Mundane Matt, who basically he lost his shit online. And again, I don't know what happened to Boulder Boy, but it's a shame, because I don't know, it's just a shame. This is the thing, when you get to the truth of what Gamergate's really about and what the fight really is, it is going to divide people. It's going to make people either they're going to roll with the new information and say, okay, this is what's going on, we got to go this way, or they're going to recoil against it because of they're trying to hold on to something. It's so paradigm shifting that if you can't accept this as the new reality, it's going to drive you crazy. So I think that's what happened. People like Monday Matt and Vernaculus and other people that I used to like I had Monday Matt on our show back when Gamergate 1 was going on. He was kind of a semi-regular guest on, and it's a shame because he completely flipped it. He flipped out, and just weird going on Critical Drinkers podcast was enough to make him go off the deep end. And he used to be, I would say, somewhat of a Gamergate supporter. Again, I think it's because when you are looking at the reality of what we're up against, I think people are not ready for that conversation. I don't know how else to look at it. So anyway, so speaking of that, so I'm talking about old Gamergate voices, right? Here's another one that I think is trying to do real serious damage. This is Lauren Southern.
Mm.
So, do you know who Lauren Southern is?
To a certain degree, yeah. I mean, her name is not lost on me. She's like the trad wife in quotations. That has had a bit of a
Well, yeah. So,
you're right, exactly.
So, look, So here, funny story, I guess. When I first got involved with Gamergate back in 2015, I was doing Honey Badger Radio with Allison, Karen, Rachel, Crystal, Hannah, and Dr. Randomcam Mike. And I used to do shows, it was probably like a couple times a week. And we would have on Oliver Campbell and Grim Jim and other people, and we would talk about like whatever was going on with Gamergate that week. A lot of times it was, men in the industry or journalists in the industry getting like accused of like, sexual misconduct or whatever that used to be like that were calling us the misogynists, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was stuff like that, pointing out the double standards. And anyway, we got to a point where Allison, who runs the channel, wanted to do a meetup because we never met each other because we were all from different places, right? Like Hannah was from Ohio and I was in Chicago and Mike was in London, or in England somewhere. And so she was like, well, why don't we do a meetup? Anna Cherry was one of them. And it just so happened that Lauren Southern here, who had recently done she went to a slut walk with Karen, who was a good friend of mine, and was basically like trolling the sluts at the slut walk. She was doing a meetup as well in British Columbia in BC. This was in 2015. And it was the first time I'd ever done a road trip and B, been to that part of the world. Like I went to Canada once. Before that, I went to Toronto with some friends. It was before 9/11, so you could just cross the border.
It's a completely different world. Yeah.
It was before 9/11, so you can just cross the border with an ID card. But this was the first time I had to get a passport. I rented a car. I got my driver's license before I did that because in Chicago you don't need a car, and it's probably not a good idea to have one because the traffic and parking is so bad. You might as well just take a bus or walk. But
that's the way Seattle was. Yeah.
Yeah, so I drove from Chicago all the way to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, picked up Rachel, then drove all the way back to Chicago, spent the night there, drove all the way up to, I want to say I went all night. I drove all the way to Calgary, Alberta in Canada for this meetup. And from there, I went to Edmonton. I met up with Karen and Allison and them. And then from there, I went to BC. I drove through the mountains, through the Rockies, into British Columbia, got on the ferry, I think, and then I went over there and I went to the meetup. And that was the first time I met all the Badgers from Honey Badger Radio and my wife. Like I met my wife Lindsay at the meetup because we were going to first we went to it was a convention and Allison got kicked out. It was a Calgary Expo. But then while we were there, we also went to Lauren Southern's meetup and I met Lauren Southern there. And she was there to basically support Gamergate. Mm-hmm. Now, why am I saying all that? Well, she appears to have turned on everybody and is now doing I was wrong, I was naive, all these people were dangerous. And she doesn't implicate Gamergate in this at all. She goes after the manosphere in this. But we are basically the manosphere, and the manosphere is often connected to Gamergate anyway. It's just the truth. Like it is it's guilt by association regardless. There's no avoiding that. So she wrote a book. I forget what it's called. Doesn't matter. Nobody's gonna buy it. And she's now doing the rounds, and she was on the Times. And when I sort of glossed over the article, and the whole thing is essentially saying that she regrets everything that she did. And the reason why this is important is because, again, she's a woman, somewhat attractive, and she's basically saying that we're all bad people. And because she used to be not just one of us, but also one of the most prominent voices, one of the biggest pro Gamergate voices, it is actually giving our enemies legitimacy. Like they get to say, see, you
Right.
lost one of your own people, right? And this is like why I'm bringing this up. It sucks. Like, I mean, I'm not that surprised because I think that she's just gonna go wherever the grift is at. That's what I think. I think she's just grifting. I think that she's just like, well, being pro this thing doesn't work for me anymore. Now I'm gonna be anti this thing, right? I think that's what Candace Owens did. She was pro censorship, then she became anti censorship, and I never fully trusted her either. And it's the same kind of thing. So I don't know what you guys think about this, but I just want to point out that there are some people that used to be, pretty vocal supporters of Gamergate that have like completely flipped on them. I mentioned Matt and Lauren Southern, for example.
Not unlike the story of Metal Gear. Today's allies will be tomorrow's enemies, and today's enemies might be in a foxhole with you tomorrow. It's like we're on constantly shifting sand, and I think that influencers like this is definitely the kind of people that your opposition, ideological oppositions, will go to work on specifically for instances like this, where they can do the whole, oh well, look, one of your founders of your whole ideology has seen the ills of it, and now it discredits you all. It's just, it works especially easy on people who do gravitate towards the glory rather than the actual like struggle and dealing with just like people that are more interested in kind of just having their name be known rather than having like the thing that they actually care about be strengthened. I anytime I ever hear this woman's name, it's generally it generally leads to nothing good, especially in recent times. So like I said, I know of her, but I don't really don't really dig too far into it, because it's just like I assume I'm just gonna find another woke white woman who was preyed upon for her empathy, and
she's a I think she would describe herself as being like let's say practical, and that's just like she's just like so there is some good news out of this as well. We also pissed off Lori Penny. So you guys know who Lori Penny is. She is she's like a writer and an activist and a feminist, intersectional kind. And she wrote this post on X where she said, "May I take this opportunity to congratulate all the anti-wokers for winning their precious little culture war. Well done, guys. Hope the liberal tears were worth it." Well, that's sort of like asking us to stop.
I was gonna say, this seems like I don't thank you, I guess, for the praise, but this seems like a veiled kind of attack of just stop what you're doing. You've done enough. You've
looks
won.
like you won. I'm gonna walk away. Here's a clip. This is a great little clip. I don't know if this is like, it's a little bit long though. I want to there was so Lori Penny, I want to find where this guy, here we go. This is the part right here. So Lori Penny gives him shit. They're debating something. It doesn't really matter. Let me see if this audio is gonna work. Okay, I gotta stop sharing and then like redo it. We gotta look at some cake in a bit too, so it's sort of irrelevant. All right. Let me see. Share this. Here we go. Okay. All right, let's listen.
I was prepared to do it for free.
So I'm going to go back a little bit more. Sorry.
On the virtues of a republic on the one hand and a monarchy on the other. I was prepared to do it for free. She insisted on trying to charge such a large fee that the event had to be cancelled. Now, I think that is as mean, that is as mean and grasping as some runt comedian, and I will not be lectured to by a jumped-up public school girl like you. I came from the bottom, and I will not have it.
Excuse me. May I respond to that?
Right of reply. Go on.
I think I deserve a right of reply to that. I personally
Right of reply.
that asking to be
Did
paid.
you or did you not do what I've just said?
I was going to respond to that, but
Why not do it straight away? Did you or did you not claim such a large fee that the event had to be cancelled?
No, I didn't. Mrs.
Well,
Starkey.
then every member of the committee is lying, and you clearly, as usual, are telling the truth.
Yeah. Damn.
Bestial. I'm sorry, I gotta redo this again. But so yeah, Lori Penny was doing a debate with this guy named Starkey, and he basically said, you know, I was willing to do this for free, and she wanted to like a crazy amount of money for it because that's how these people operate.
Right.
Points aggressively, yes. You forgot about that one. This is Lori Petty, yes. So she is basically trying to concede. I don't know. I just think it's funny. Like, I wish this was true, and I wish that she had actually conceded, but I don't think that that's what happened.
Yeah.
I think that she is, like John said, she's trying to get us to put down our weapons so that you can stab us in the back. So, but let me see what you guys are saying. And we're going to move on to some cake, because that was basically mostly what I wanted to get through. I do have some cringe as well.
Indeed.
But mostly what I wanted to get through are those things and how those are all connected together. You see how there's obviously, like, it wasn't, we remember, going back to the thing about the Epstein files. Remember when people were talking about that, they said, they dismissed it as conspiracy theory. This is before anything had happened, like Pizzagate. Remember when that was a conspiracy and like it was silly? Mm-hmm. Now they're like, oh, I guess it's real, and you did it. Now they're trying to flip the tables, right? So it's just like everything is, all the conspiracies are just things that haven't become true yet. You know how they say, what is it, the cycle? This is not happening. This is still not happening, but if it was, it would be a good thing. This is happening and it's a good thing, you know, like, or this is happening and it's your fault, right? So, right. Yeah, this is basically just what's going on with that. And so we're seeing that the acknowledgement of the issues that Gamergate's been talking about for 10 years are real, and they have confronted them on some capacity. And I think that it means that they're panicking. That's all this is. This is panic. That article that I went through where they're trying to justify DEI, that's panic. They're basically like, oh shit, nobody likes this anymore. We're going to have to do something about it. And somebody's like, well, let's double down, because they always double down. They always lie. They always project. They always double down. Okay, anyway, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. And then we're going to move on to the cake. But I'll start with the cringe. So, man, who is this? I try to click on that. ManThanFL says, that's such a small issue in the grand scheme of things, though. There's a kid graping grifter declaring wars. Prove it, bitch. You're basically making, I already talked about this. You can't just go around pointing fingers like that. That's extremely irresponsible. So, no way y'all on the Doge bandwagon. Hell yes, I was on the Doge bandwagon before there was a Doge bandwagon. What are you talking about? Let's see. Toasty with the Mosty says, hi. Hello, Toasty.
Welcome to the
stream. Norwegian Black Templar says, turf equals this tenet of feminism bit me in the ass. Yes. Nothing Comment says, it's crazy how much they have oppressed us straight white males, woke losers. I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody's claiming that white males are oppressed, but white men have been disadvantaged by these systems.
Yeah,
that's not
the point behind them specifically.
That's not controversial. So
yeah, I
guess you want to dismiss it. Good luck with that. Yeah. Norwegian says there were a lot of blue-pilled people in Gamergate. Absolutely, there's most people are pretty blue-pilled in general. Let's see. Norwegian says the queen of single motherhood. Nothing comment says, what struggle did Gamergate cause for us? I don't know what you're talking about. Dark Kikimora says Lauren Southern identified as a libertarian nationalist. Again, someone with some good takes, but who also will bail and talk shit. A few other people like that, but not naming names. Well, I think it's, again, she made allegations in her book against people, and I'm not going to repeat the names, but she made allegations that are unproven, and they're very serious allegations, and she didn't go to police or anything. So if you make an allegation but you didn't file a police report for the thing you're alleging, that to me immediately makes you suspect of lying. Because if it's serious, you go to the cops. If you don't go to the cops, I'm going to treat it like it's not serious. But anyway, thank you, Dark Kikimura. And look, I don't know that she believed in much of anything. She tried to do the trad wife thing. She claims, but she didn't, because she's got, like, you know, she was fucking Destiny and shit. So
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. You fucked up. Accept it. You ended up like with a fucking like government asset or something. Let's see. Nothing comment says, like, all games are still available. If anything, venture capital is what's preventing good games from being made. I'm getting good games now. I'm sorry, but I disagree. Hard disagree on that. I don't know what you're complaining about. I think you just want to blame capitalism for shit. That's so childish. Norwegian says, man, I forgot about Lori Penny. Norwegian says, I've just put a suggestion in the games channel in the HBA Discord. Okay. Gabriel says, music in the background. Oh, I don't know. Is there music playing?
Oh, might be me. You know me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I thought I had it low enough that it might not be heard.
Oh, that's okay. That's great. All right. So we're gonna move on to, we got about half an hour. I think we're good on this. I want to talk a little bit about a new. It might be a movie or a series. I'm not sure which, but it looks really good. So this is. Put this on the screen here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna find it. I'm sorry. Just give me a second here. All right. So Brad Bird, you guys might know him as the brains behind The Incredibles and Iron Giant. Okay. I think he was also involved with Up. But The Incredibles and Iron Giant. Yeah. Which are really, those are two of my favorite animated movies. And he was pushed out of Pixar, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
As part of this whole Me Too thing.
Me Too bullshit, yeah.
So now he's got his own long-awaited animated film called Ray Gun, which is coming to Netflix sometime in 2026. It's a retro-futuristic sci-fi noir that he has been dreaming up since the 1990s. So this is something that he's wanted to do for that long. Sam Rockwell would be voicing the jaded private eye Raymond Gunn. Scarlett Johansson is the glamorous multimedia star Venus Nova. And Tom Waits, who I love Tom Waits, plays his one-eyed alien sidekick, Ira. Get it? Bird calls it The Maltese Falcon meets Buck Rogers. Think classic 1940s detective story with jetpacks, flying cars, and aliens in a towering Art Deco city called Metropia. The story is going to follow Ray as he's pulled into a murder case involving Venus Nova and her body double in a world where machines do most of the detective work. Bird's pushing to prove animation isn't just for kids. He wants it to feel like a big, fun popcorn movie for adults as well. Skydance Animation is producing. So Skydance is the company, I think it was like Tom Cruise that put it together. So he was involved with it when he put out his Top Gun movie, as well as his last couple of Mission Impossibles. And they also put out an animated movie called Lucky, I think it was, which was okay. It wasn't like great, but it was it was competently done. It just didn't have like as much heart as, you know, like when Pixar was in their prime. But you could tell that the bones were there for something special. This could be that. So this is Brad Bird's first feature since Incredibles 2, which I didn't like as much, but and here are some of the first look images. So that's Ray Gunn and his sidekick. Tom Waits is great. He's such a weird dude. You know who that is?
Oh, of course. I got He's in my fucking my music library here. Yeah.
Yes. He's a
big in Japan,
musician. Man. He was in
13th
Warrior for some reason. He was like a king in that. 13th Warrior, great movie, by the way.
Yeah, Tom Waits is awesome.
Yeah, Tom Waits. And here is another image. Now there's no trailer yet, but I got to tell you, like, I love this aesthetic. I think this is great, and the retro futurism stuff just looks cool to me. And I think it's very fitting when you consider, again, Brad Bird's Iron Giant and Incredibles, which also had a very like Art Deco retro future thing going on. So yeah, I don't know. Are you excited for this? No relation to Chris.
First time hearing about it, but definitely gonna.
Oh, you didn't hear about this? Oh man,
no.
Yeah,
so, but it's something I'm gonna pay attention to now. So
Yeah, when a trailer drops, I will let you know. So, but we only have a couple of like promotional stills right now, and not a lot else going on, but pretty exciting. So that was the one thing I wanted to share. All right, let's look at some cringe.
Indeed.
All right, so this is a game coming out called People of Note, and let's see. Oh, no sound. Hold on, I gotta share it again. I don't know why this happens. It's like a weird glitch. So
many tech issues. Weird.
Yeah,
shit.
I mean it's mostly the yeah. Here we go. It's mostly the
now when I
video
go
ninja
into,
thing that does it.
For whatever reason, the last few days, whenever I go into EV Mamuk Studio, I always have to reset my microphone. It works before I get in there, and then as soon as I get in, I have to go and reset it again. It's crazy, but other than that, it works perfectly fine. Just this stupid little step I have to do now. So
yeah,
silly bullshit.
All right, this is People of Note. This is not only on PlayStation. This is also on Steam. So you know,
we came here because the homestead is trying to collect the 4 keys of Note.
And maybe find someone to join my band. Man, when did the world get so big?
Always was. Guess that's why we band together.
Harmonies can't be sung by one.
I belong to a group of people trying to keep the keys safe. We don't know precisely what they can do, but we can't let the wrong people get their hands on them.
This is the start of something new. Your sounds are part of something larger than you. The whole world's waiting to hear.
Smolder, this is it. Everything you've got. We can't lose here.
I'm under the lights, but I'm not on my own.
This generation of music's gone to hell, children. Time for you to follow suit.
No one can do it alone.
Jesus Christ. When you said cringe, Jesus, you meant it. Man, oh man.
I present to you Concord the musical. Stop the trailer. So it's available right now, guys, and it's 10% off. In this turn-based RPG musical, join Cadence. Get it? Cadence. Her name is Cadence. As she recruits an ensemble of musicians on her quest for stardom. Experience turn-based combat like never before, where each battle is a musical performance with evolving combat conditions and genre-bending mashup attacks. And you can buy the soundtrack too.
Jesus Christ, if a trans flag could sing.
at Zeko Anime. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh man. Oh Jesus. This game, this is clearly something that was profit all on the front end. This is definitely another one of those. I'm sure if you look into it, they probably got like a huge fucking money grant from some kind of governing agency or some kind of bullshit like that, whereas WF money or some kind of this is wow. Thank you for the good laugh, but Jesus Christ. Wow. Wow.
Yep. People of Note. Concord the musical.
Indeed.
So we'll it's I mean it's not even Dustborn. Like I mean it Dustborn did have music. I think Dustborn was worse, but this is bad. This is pretty bad.
So
all right, let me see what other. I think that I got like one more thing. I guess the thing that who was it that shared it? Was it in the games? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Shotgun Farmers. Okay. Maybe I can find the. Well, no, I can just play this. That's okay. I'm having a cringe stroke.
Right? Yeah, that was concentrated cringe. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Woo, woo, boy. All right, let's look at this then. So this is Shotgun Farmers. I think this is like, I don't know that there's much else. There was one other little thing I might share after this. I think it's kind of interesting, but it's very niche and specific. But let's look at this. Is Shotgun Farmers. I don't know. Miss shots grow guns. Oh. What? So there's vehicles, there's weapons. Shotgun Farmers. This is where games thrive. I think this is what it's gonna be, stuff like this.
Yeah.
Shotgun Farmers is $4 on Steam, so that's pretty good actually. Yeah. Super Battle Golf, yeah, that's a very popular one right now. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people streaming this one. I don't watch it, but I guess you're trying to play golf while people are trying to kill you. And you can apparently hit yourself. I don't know. Wind mechanics. Team holes. This must be like an update for it. Yeah, frozen fairway. So it's like an upgrade. And here we see Bob going for the putt. All right. So you're too afraid of playing with me. Did you get it for me? Do I have this game? I don't think I have this game, do I? I don't know. So one other thing I was going to mention, I should mention it, and I kind of forgot to mention it, is that if you are, going back to anime for a second, if you are a fan of, or waiting on the next episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Steel Ball Run, it's coming out in the fall, I think. And I guess from there on, it's going to be like weekly releases. So this, I don't think this is a bad thing, because I think that the quality of animation is going to be higher, because the workflow of these studios is to, like, they're producing shows as they're being released. So this gives them a little bit of a window, because there's going to be a lot of stuff to animate. So I'm okay with waiting a little bit longer for it. But yeah, so we're going to get that. And then the other thing I was going to show you guys really quick was, speaking of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I found out how to play this one game. It's essentially, it is only available in Japanese arcades. And let me see if I'm looking for the. Yeah, here we go. Just try to grab the right thing here. So it's normally only available in arcades. Share this tab. And I found a way to get it so you can play it on your PC. Okay, let me I gotta stop sharing again and then do this again. It seems to be like a thing that happens every time now. So this is basically a JoJo's Battle Royale. And here.
Damn,
I think it's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Last Survivor or something like that.
I can't get close.
Don't run. Die.
God damn, bro! He was lighting me up!
Nice. Just when we thought My Hero Academia was the only anime with a battle royale, JoJo has one too, with Last Survivor. This has a ton of cool looking characters, a lot more stages from the first time we played it, and now multiplayer, so me and the homies can finally have a standoff. Like the video for your boy, and with that, let's get into the games.
I'm just loading. How about y'all?
I'm loading too.
I'm gonna mute this. So this is a battle royale game. I guess those are really big right now. But here's the thing that I think is kind of neat about this. So this is in arcades in Japan only. Somebody managed to get the files for this and then mod it and make it available to anyone on PC for free. Crazy. So like you can basically you can play this game for free. And we can play it together online too for nothing. So if that interests you, join the Discord, our Discord, and ask me about it, and I'll send you a link. And you basically join a Discord that gives you the files. There's no signing up, no nothing. You just get it for free, and then we can try to link up on it and see if we can get the game to work. But basically, I don't know how the battle royale games work, but I think that's like a Fortnite thing. And it's a big arcade game in Japan, but it's never, as far as we know, it's not coming to the States. So this is like the only way you're gonna be able to get it. So I don't know if that interests you guys, but just thought I would let you all know that this is like a thing that people are playing. And I did download it and I jumped in real quick just to see if it worked. And it's very easy. It's not a large file. It's not that demanding on your PC. So just something that I thought would share with you guys if you're interested.
Interesting. Install on Steam Deck.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's not gotten through the Steam store, but I have seen that people have put it in. I guess you can take non-Steam games and put them in
and add them into the library. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can probably do that because people say they have done that to get the controller support because this game doesn't have controller support normally. So, but yeah, I'll let me know if you're in the Discord. Let me know, and I'll get you a link to download the game. It's going to be a Google Drive. A Google Drive document or Google Drive file that you have to give you a zip file, and then you put it on whatever your device is, unzip it, and then you just launch it from there. There's not even an installation; it just launches.
Right. You just have to extract it out and then just run the executable from the.
Yeah, you just run it. Yeah. So there you go. And it's just another way to play JoJo's, but. All right. I got a Rumble rant from NovaFan. Thank you, NovaFan, for $1. And he says, I really hope the owners of the JoJo Battle Royale game doesn't pull a Blizzard and shut it down instead of releasing it. God forbid they earn a profit instead of sitting on the license. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think right now not a lot of people know about this. When they say Japanese arcade, do they mean PC bang? I need a weeb input. No, I mean, it's in arcades in Japan. It's in it's a physical arcade machine. Japan still plays on arcade.
Yeah. Arcades are still very big in the culture there, where people actually actively go out of the house to play games.
Yeah. So this is basically somebody got their hands on the arcade software somehow. I don't know. It's kind of like it's basically emulated, but they've also modded it in a number of ways to put a cell shaded look on it and stuff, and add additional skins and stuff like that. So I don't know. Look, I'm just really interested in the kind of stuff that people come up with on their own, right? They're tired of waiting for their favorite developers or whatever to do something, so they just do it on their own.
Projects are driven by passion rather than products.
Yeah, exactly.
Profits. Yeah.
So thank you for the Rumble rant, NovaFan. But yeah, while this is running in the background, I guess we're gonna wrap it up because I gotta get ready to go to Posca, and I'm gonna be up all night. So, John, what do you got going on this week?
Let's see. I know Will is doing a stream about the Quarterings meltdown.
Oh, I haven't been following any of that stuff.
So he asked me if I'd join in with him, so I told him that I would probably do that as soon as we got done with this here today. So I'll probably be over there in a little bit. Otherwise, just prepping for tomorrow's review of episodes 5 and 6 of season 12. That will complete us for the seasons of Red Dwarf. There is a special that we still need to review for next week, but we are getting to the end of the road as far as the Red Dwarf reviews go. That should be starting. Technically, we're scheduled to start our streams at 11 a.m. Eastern over on Will's channel, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, but he is a dad of 2 young daughters, and now they've got also another one of their nephews there, another young kid. So he's got a full house. So like sometimes gets pushed back now or whatever. But tentatively tomorrow 11 a.m. we'll be doing that review, and then throughout the week I'm there. Like I said, Tuesday's the Pop Culture Day. Thursday we do Anchor of the Week, and Toasty joins in with us on those streams a lot of the time. But you can also find me with Toasty Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern over on her channel. And it's just pretty much like, we do our we started doing interviews on Tuesdays, and then we do our Fallout reviews on Thursdays, and then we do just kind of hangout panels on the weekends. So we'll be there again tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, I do want to thank everybody who took time out of their day to hang out with us start of the weekend. Greatly appreciated. Whether you been here from the start or joined it along the way, all the follows, shares, donations, just even of your time and your input in the chat is greatly appreciated here. And always great time talking with you. But of course, with that said, y'all have a wonderful weekend going forward. Of course, safe travels ahead. Be awesome as always.
All right. So yeah, I mean, my next show will maybe be Tuesday, which is going to be me playing through Half-Life. I've never played Half-Life, so it's a blind playthrough of the original Half-Life, and that's how we like I said, I have plenty. I don't really give a shit about the new games, really.
Yeah. Are you playing the original?
I'm looking forward to, but yeah. What?
Are you playing the original or the Black Mesa remake?
No, it's the original. It's just Half-Life.
Okay,
yeah. The original Half-Life.
You can. You should be able to get after you get done with it, if you want to go and check out an updated version of it for comparison. Black Mesa is quite good, and it's basically a fan project remake of the original.
What's the difference?
It looks nicer, but and
I know somebody
has some modernized controls and whatnot.
Yeah, I have a demo for someone did a mod. I think it's a mod, or maybe it's even like a full conversion mod or something of Half-Life 2 with RTX.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by like it being kind of a remake, or?
Yeah, it's in Steam. You should be able to find it through like the community tab on Half-Life. There'll be links for like fan support stuff and whatnot. But yeah, Black Mesa is I think
maybe after I finish Half-Life 1.
Yeah. But definitely play through it the original first. But because I haven't even really had a chance to get into it, I just know it exists and I own it. But it's basically it's an updated version of the original Half-Life. But that's a great game.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the heads up on that. So with that said, thank you guys for coming on the show. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about on the show today, and share the video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on this episode of The Week in Culture, and we will talk to you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.